I don't know how all this is going to work. I tried it with this camera angle or whatever before. But I wanted to talk, before we get to that, every time I go swimming, I come up with ideas of things I want to talk about. Or if I go for a walk alone, which I never do anymore now that I work at home. It may change very shortly. But in this case, I'm going to give it a shot because normally I just get to my drinking and listening to music after a swim. If I want to do something interesting. Now, I guess what I want to talk about, this wasn't a wise idea, was it? Is happiness and contentment and how they're different. At least for me, and maybe like in a lot of things, I'm looking for some kind of resonance with other people. And not really expecting to find it with many, because I think, well, my values are twisted or something. All right, so they are different things to me, maybe to everyone. Cigars are even harder to light properly than a pipe, but they stay lit longer. So I should have done it beforehand. I thought it would be classy to light this cigar, but I don't know. Anyway, I guess for me, happiness is sort of that ecstatic moments. I get it when dancing. I get it, I used to get it at a gaming con. I don't think I'm capable of that anymore. I get it when falling in love. Maybe I get it in my moments when I'm on a walk, or swimming even. Just snatches of this, where my mind is whirring and everything's working in such a sort of, I don't know, productive sort of way. I got it at work when I first came here, or when I first switched jobs. A certain level of that happiness. Is something to do with being effective, to being active, maybe to having my mind engaged, learning new things, or else. But so here's the thing, it wears out in any given activity. So for example, with jobs, that happiness goes away after a while. That excitement, whatever. The same thing was true of with school. You know, every year I could get myself psyched up for school, and it would last me a few months, you know. However, if I'm sufficiently tortured, happiness seems closer to the edge of where I can be. When I moved here, I had no comfort. And that's what I'm kind of going to draw here as the distinction for me is it's almost a diametric opposition between happiness and comfort. If I'm comfortable, it is very, very unlikely that I can be happy. Because I've got a nice routine. I'm not tortured. Happiness seems to go along with that torture, that mental torture, possibly physical too, because honestly, there's a certain happiness to, you know, physical labor, right? Or just the pain of working your body hard. But usually that's, for me, situations where I'm in that kind of physical labor, I've always been, I think, tied to a certain mental pain at the same time. So the happiness may be the pain relieving the deeper pain, but in a sense, I'm exalting in that deeper pain as well at the same time. Sometimes that deeper pain is just knowledge of failure. Some of my happiest times in this sort of sense were when I was gaming and saying, the hell with everything else. The hell with it all. I'm just going to enjoy some time being around friends. We're going to game every day, go out drinking every night, and screw getting my grades through. This was my supposedly final year at Buffalo, but I was under some mental anguish at the time. And likewise, when I was in Oregon, that whole experience was painful. But when I found the thing that made me kind of happy, which was going out dancing and obsessing on much younger women, that served its own purpose for me as well. In terms of creating a certain kind of happiness. There's a happiness that I still get now that I can trigger by sitting out here listening to music. Maybe happy is almost the wrong word for this. It's something bigger than the happiness, because sometimes the pain itself is enough. It's an aliveness. What about comfort? In comfort, I tend to settle towards sloth. Taurians are not notable for it, right? If things seem like they can go on forever, and they must, for them to matter at all to me, for me to have any comfort, for me to be at all free of a certain kind of mental torture, they must seem like they will be forever. And that's forever maybe ending right now again. That's where I take comfort. I take comfort knowing that I've got all the time in the world to do whatever I need to do in the current circumstances. And that's going harder because I'm aging. I took my damn time going about it, but I definitely am. I mean, physically I could tell knees, back, things like that were causing problems, but now there's more than that, I think. But comfort is almost a deadness to me. It's what I think most people actually live towards in a lot of ways, because they take little understanding and pleasure in suffering, maybe, I don't know. And it's very hard not, to fight against that comfort when you have it available. In a sense, it may be the whole why some people say, oh man, we were poor, but we were happy. Because you're really living when you're suffering in that kind of way. And you're drinking in every moment of the good times that you can have. Whereas now, I have a lot of opportunity to have good times if I want it, in a sense. I mean, if I had friends or anything like that, right? I mean, my wife, but she's more antisocial and unable to deal with people than I am. And we spend very little time together, as it is anyhow, which is good. I mean, that's comfortable. I have to learn very carefully to say that with the T in the right location. My ex used to rag me on that, and everyone. But I'm not sure that the two can really go together. It's almost like when you're driving for that happiness, that thing that's outside of the comfort. No matter what, it's putting yourself outside of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is routines. It's this. There's no sense of adventure. There's no risk. And I don't think that, for me at least, that there's any happiness in that direction. That all there is comfort there. All there is sloth. And I'm not... See, the problem is that there's no desire for the misery. There's the desire for what seems to come along with it. And that desire is similar to the feeling that it projects is very similar to things when you're falling in love with someone, and they with you. But it also links in with things for me that are so terribly, terribly horrible periods in life. And maybe I've only really fallen in love in horrible periods in my life. No, I don't think so. But there is a certain anxiousness to that. And wonder. And all that kind of disappears with comfort. You can't be amazed and surprised by how comfortable you are. It can't kind of rock your world with comfort. And that sort of tortures me because I want the dichotomy. I want them both there. And I'm not sure how much they can share that same plane for me. In fact, I don't think that they can. And I'm not really sure that I'm getting anywhere with this, as usual. Just a little glimpse. I don't... The amount that I can swim nowadays is it's kind of chilly. But also, just physically I kind of tire. Mentally I tire of swimming too. That always will happen. And the lack of walking means that I don't have as much time to sort of think, to piece things together. And that thinking is a kind of happiness. It's time stolen, time that I could be being comfortable. Playing my games is comfortable. One thing that does seem to be almost a conjunction of the two, but not really. It's more on the comfort side, but maybe such a deep comfort that it's almost a happiness, is reading for pure pleasure. That is a kind of maybe happiness without any excitement in it. As opposed to, say, video games, which seem like almost a deadening with moments of simulated excitement, where, some monster jumps out at you or whatever. And dancing is just almost pure energy. It's like that excitement bottled up into just some rawest of forms. When it's right, Being on the stage, I thought, was kind of maybe a tempting compromise situation. It captured a few things that I liked. One was, there's this need for attention, obviously, but also this energy that you're projecting out when you're on stage, not so much in film. I've done both, but But then there's also this thing of, I get to be a completely different person, every few months or whatever. It's not so true though if you're able to make it big and get a part in a real show where you're going on for years and years and that's your paycheck, and you don't really want to move on to different things unless you have some assurity and certainty, because this is your bread and butter. And that's kind of how jobs are now. Taking different roles is kind of neat. It was interesting to shift roles, even within the same job. At the one place I worked when I first came out here, and then it was very exciting to come into a totally different type of role at this job I've had for the last couple of years. But then after your 6 months or whatever, once you've kind of learned most of it, it becomes harder to focus on it entirely. It becomes just going through the motions, and I'm probably worse at going through the motions than I am at learning something. Like, I'm worse at doing the job once I've gotten it down. Again, there becomes a contentment, and there's sort of this happiness involves ambition, goals, reaching towards things. Comfort is this settling into an acceptance, and acceptance is very easy for me. It's not for many people, I guess. Whoops. I don't know. Anyway, I thought I'd speak some. I don't think I've come to any conclusions for myself, and I don't know how much value this is to anyone else. But there you have it.